Hi, my name is Emily Lanier. I did my project on Catherine the Great. She was the ruler of Russia from 1762 to 1796. This is a picture of Catherine. She was born on May 2nd, 1729. Her birth name was Sophie Frederique Auguste. Her father was Christian Auguste, and he was a minor German prince and a general in the Prussian army. Her mother was Joanna Elizabeth, and she had some distant links to the Russian royal Romanov family, but other than that, they were not Russian. She would meet Peter, her future husband, Peter III, at a young age, but immediately Sophie and Peter did not get along. He was the heir to the Russian throne, and that was pretty important for Sophie and her family. And she would later write that she was much more attracted to the crown of Russia than Peter. Sophie would eventually convert from Lutheranism to the Russian Orthodox faith in order to marry Peter, and her name would be changed to Katerina, and that would be where we get Catherine. Peter would succeed Tsarina Elizabeth Petrova when she died in 1761. However, Peter is not well liked in court either. He's known to be a heavy drinker, and one of his first acts as Tsar was to withdraw Russian troops from the 7 Years' War and then sign a peace treaty with Prussia. Both did not gain him any favor. He is only Tsar for about 6 months before Catherine gains enough favor in the court and with the Russian Guard and is able to overthrow him in a bloodless coup. This is a picture of Catherine at the Winter Palace speaking to troops, asking them to back her and to protect her from her husband. Catherine would become empress. That's a picture of her coronation dress on September 22nd in 1762. And soon after, Peter would die from unusual circumstances. Some historians actually say he was murdered by one of Catherine's co-conspirators. During Catherine's reign, Russia would go to war with the Ottoman Empire twice. The first time was in 1768. Turkey demanded that Catherine abstain from interfering in Poland's affairs. Catherine was demanding political rights for religious minorities in Poland, which was a country that was officially Catholic, and therefore they did not want to grant those rights. Russian troops were sent to Poland, and then there was an inciting incident at the border of Polish Ukraine and Turkey that led the Turks to declare war with Russia. This war would last until 1774 and end with the Ottoman Empire being forced to sign the Treaty of Kukchak-Kanaji. The treaty would leave Crimea with very little independence, and it would give Russia control over crucial ports on the peninsula. Prussia, Austria, and France would try to persuade remediation, but Catherine was determined to extend the Russian borders, and she would ultimately annex Crimea in 1783. Russia would later fight again with the Ottoman Empire from 1787 to 1791, and this conflict would result in a second treaty, the Treaty of Jassy, and this treaty would solidify Russians' possession over Crimea and the northern Black Sea. Catherine was considered an enlightened ruler. She was influenced greatly by the Enlightened movement. She believed in reason, supported science, education, cultural activities, and religious tolerance. She was one of the first people in Russia to be vaccinated for smallpox. She helped establish the Smolny Institute for Girls, which is pictured here. It's one of the first schools for women, young women. And not only did she feel that women should be educated, but she also established the Society of the Translation of Foreign Books. And that society would translate books from French and German into Russian so that everyone had access to the literature. Catherine the Great would be the ruler for 34 years and eventually die from a stroke at the age of 67. Her eldest son, Paul, who may or may not have been a legitimate son of Peter III, would succeed her. However, Catherine was unsure of his ability to rule. She was considering changing her successor, but unfortunately she was not able to change it before she passed away. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and here's a list of the references for the pictures, and have a great one.